Hey everyone, Nola here. Welcome back to Glam and Glory. In this video, I'll be talking to you about why sleep is one of the healthiest things we can do for our bodies and why ensuring we get enough sleep is essential to good health. So stay tuned and keep on watching. So some of you may know that I actually work in clinical research, and some of the projects that I've been fortunate to be on have actually been designing studies to see if we can increase sleep in young people, adolescents, high school students, because they do not get enough sleep, and really none of us get enough sleep, at least not here in the US. So today I'll be talking to you about why it's so important. It's really fundamental to our well-being and to our livelihoods and to maintaining good health. Not getting enough sleep is associated with heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure, and it's definitely something that we want to stay away from. And even though we feel like it's a little bit here, a little bit there, it's not too bad. But in the long run, it does add up. A recent study that came out in July 2020 by Leary et al. That was actually published in JAMA Neurology followed over 4,000 participants for between 12 and 21 years, so pretty robust in terms of research and long-term follow-up. And they found that participants who had a 5% decrease in REM sleep, which is our deep, really restorative sleep, was actually associated with up to a 17% increase in death rates. So a 5% reduction in REM sleep was associated with a 17% increase in death rates. And again, association doesn't show causation, but it is pretty telling. So I'll be giving a broad background about sleep, and then I'll be diving in even further to give some tangible and practical tips that you can apply to try to help you get a better night's sleep and ensure that you're actually getting the 7 to 8 hours that research shows most of us need. Okay, so there's 4 stages of sleep. The first stage is when we're going from being awake to sleeping, and that is stage 1. That can last anywhere from just a few minutes to 10 to 15 minutes. Again, all of these numbers are different for every one of us. I'm just speaking in general terms for purposes of this video. So stage 1 is lighter sleep. And again, it lasts from just a few minutes to like 10 to 15 minutes. The second stage is also a light stage of sleep, and that can last from anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, again, depending on the person. Stage 2 is also light sleep. When we're woken up from light sleep, stage 1 or 2, that's good for us. We feel refreshed. When we wake up from a deeper stage, that's when we may feel groggy or may say we woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and that's because we were in deeper stages. So stage 3 is the next stage. We tend to reach stage 3 sleep after being asleep for 30 to 45 minutes, ballpark, I would say. Our breathing slows, our heart rate is normal, and this is really the first deep stage of sleep. It's really restorative. We're consolidating memories. Again, if we got a bruise or a cut, this is when we're making those new cells after a really hard workout. This is where we're really getting that recovery in, building up our muscle mass. And so stage 3 is really, really important. After stage 3 is stage 4, which you may also hear called REM sleep, for rapid eye movement sleep. We usually enter REM sleep after being asleep for anywhere from 90 minutes to 120 minutes. We're completely relaxed, we're really not moving our arms or our legs, and it is really essential. And this stage of sleep is the stage that I cited earlier in that article, where a decrease in REM sleep was associated with up to a 17% increase in death rates. So super, super important that we get this sleep. And our sleep goes in cycles. So let's say the first cycle that we're falling asleep, let's say that first 2 hours, we may be getting just 10 minutes of REM sleep, but they get progressively longer. As we're sleeping for a full 8 hours of sleep, the next time we get that REM cycle, it'll be a little bit longer and we'll feel more restored and refreshed when we wake up. So to get started with our tips, the first tip is to try to keep your naps short. We really want to keep our naps to 20 to 30 minutes long. Anything longer than that and we're getting into our deeper stages of sleep, and really we just want to save that for nighttime. I'm sure we all can relate to having had a super long nap during the day, and then at nighttime when we're supposed to be going to sleep, we're like wide awake. We want to try to avoid that. The next tip is to really try to keep our sleep and wake times regular. I know it's easier said than done, and especially on the weekends, I do think it's okay to have a little bit of flexibility, but in general, and the ideal scenario would be that we're having the same sleep and wake times during all 7 days of the week. The next tip is to really try to block out noise. Whether you need to get some super thick curtains to do that, or get some earplugs that you're using to sleep, or telling your roommate, I'm going to bed, please keep it down. It's really important to keep your room quiet to try to help you get a good night's sleep, especially for those of us who are lighter sleepers. It's really important that we minimize the noise, especially even when the noise isn't loud enough to wake us up. It may still interrupt our sleep even if we aren't waking from it. So keep that in mind and really try to take the precautions needed for you to get a good night's sleep and make sure that your room is staying quiet. The next tip is along very similar lines, and this is to keep your room dark. So I know some of us may like having the hallway light on or feeling like if we keep the lights on then it'll be easier for us to wake up, but really we want to keep our rooms dark. Invest in some blackout curtains. You can get them for super cheap on Amazon, but it's worth it. The next tip I have is to exercise early in the day. And I feel a little bit hypocritical with this one because even me, I love working out at night after work, but I definitely have found myself that sometimes I will work out and then I will be wide awake, full of energy. You know, the endorphins that we get from working out, it's all great, but you don't want that to keep you up late at night. So if you can, try to work out during the day or in the morning and try to avoid working out at night. Before bed, we really want to be doing things that relax us, which actually is my next tip. Doing activities that relax you. So whether that's a bath, a shower where you're putting a bath bomb in and getting those essential oils and great smells as you're preparing for bed, reading, journaling, planning for the next day, all of those are great ways to relax yourself before bed. I would definitely try to recommend staying away from your phone, not scrolling on Instagram, but doing activities where you're actually with physical paper, not a Kindle, not something with blue light, to really make sure that you're sending your brain the signals that you're winding down and getting ready for bed. And the next tip is to try to avoid caffeine after 12 p.m. And for those of you who are maybe more used to caffeine, then 2 p.m. cutoff time should be fine. But caffeine actually has a pretty long half-life of about 5 hours. So it's really important that we try to cut ourselves off or limit our caffeine intake to earlier in the day so that we're not feeling jitters or wide awake late at night when we need to go to bed. So of course everyone is different, you know your caffeine tolerance, but it's something to definitely keep in mind. And the last tip is to only be in bed when you're tired or sleepy. You don't want to be in bed hanging out, you don't want to be in bed doing work, you really want to be in bed when you should be asleep. And the other part of this tip is when you can't sleep, do not lie in bed and stay awake. Sometimes we'll lay in bed for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we can't sleep, and we just stay there counting sheep, waiting for the time to pass. Let's not do that. When we lie in bed, when we can't fall asleep, our brain starts to associate our bed with those racing thoughts, those anxious thoughts. If you can't fall asleep, get up, go do something else, and come back to bed when you're tired. If you found something valuable in this video or any of these tips helped you, please do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I would also love to hear comments from you to hear what other videos and content you would like me to make, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!